Hey everybody, I'm so thankful to be here, and my wife and my family over there, and I'm very blessed for them and to have known Charlie. But something that people may not know about Charlie and I, and something that I've spoken on a lot, is for my relationship with Charlie, everything was about our faith in Jesus. And for me, I feel a very similar way. My faith in Jesus is everything that I am. It's guided me and put me in the position that I'm in today, especially to come up and talk to a bunch of people who get the opportunity to learn about healthcare, which was great. And more importantly for me, I'd love to talk about my experiences and why I'm in the position I'm in today. So for a long time in my life, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. And that started from when I was a really young kid. And I worked hard, and I grinded through, played high school, college, and then eventually made my way to professional baseball. And during that time, I read a lot of books. I thought that was going to kind of help me, put me in a good position. I wanted to absorb knowledge. And the more that I read, I kind of learned what it takes to be successful, right? And these books say, work hard, be disciplined on and off the field, no matter what you're doing. Be focused. And inevitably it said, work harder than the rest of the people. And I was like, great. I can do that, right? I can work hard, I can eat right and sleep and all those things. And for a long time, that's what I believed my purpose was in life, was work hard, live the American dream of being able to accomplish what I put my mind to. It wasn't until college where I started to realize that being a professional baseball player, working hard, all these things, they just didn't fulfill my heart. And, it started there for my journey in learning about Jesus. And my wife, who's sitting over there, was extraordinarily helpful for guiding me in the direction. And the reason I wanted to come here today was because I've been praying a lot about the opportunity to disciple people and to show them the love and the joy that I feel in my heart and to spread that to everybody, whoever has the opportunity to listen. And so I saw this opportunity as somewhere where I could come up on stage and tell people whatever out the world wants to tell you is successful, and that's going to bring you joy and peace in your life, which is work really hard, get a great job, and you're going to feel fulfilled. And in my experience, you work really hard, you have a great job, and you follow your passion. That's important, extremely. And you follow your passion, you figure out a little bit about who you are and who you want to be. And I think that's absolutely an amazing thing. But I think what you miss on is the fulfillment piece, something that we were made to do. And that's to have a relationship with God. So as I went through and I realized this, that I needed to have this relationship with God, and I learned about God, and I grew in my faith, it came very clear to me that I had been missing a lot of things along the way. I had been missing how I treat people. I had been missing the way that I talk, the way that I learn, the way that I interact with the people around me. And the more I learned about Jesus, I was very surprised. From kind of a 50-foot view, I see Jesus and it's like, oh, he's this good guy. That's what he's all about. He's about morals and all these things. But I never quite could comprehend until I started learning the amount of love that Jesus had in his heart. And I think that was the biggest piece for me that changed the way I looked at a lot of things. Jesus went to all these people, all these people in different areas of life, in different walks of life. And what he wanted to do was show them that no matter what they did in the world, good or bad, that without him, you're always going to be missing something in your life. And that's exactly how I felt. I'm not saying this because it's something that I read. I'm saying this because I experienced this. You know, I grew to the top of my game and made it to the major leagues. And I'm sure there's people in this room who are going through similar things. They want to just get to that next goal, that next thing in work, wherever they're at. And that's what they look forward to the most. But what I'm saying is, no matter how far you go along that ladder, you're still going to be missing something innate in your heart. And it's that God craves a relationship with everybody here. And I think that's, what Charlie and I talked about, was that God craves a relationship with everybody. And he does that through this intimate love that he has for all of this. So God asks us, right? He says the first thing he wants us to do is love God with all our hearts. The next thing he wants us to do is love our neighbor. And the last thing he wants us to do, and this is just a very simple 3-goal thing to what I believe and what God tells us, is to love our enemy. And that's a very difficult piece to take hold of, is to love your enemy. Because what does that mean? Does it mean that you're going to go and hug the people who might not agree with you or hate you or act malice towards you? Not necessarily. But what it means is that when people act a certain way towards you, it's because they have hate in their heart. When they act hateful towards you, right? My wife and I, we get hateful messages all the time. And I've been praying about what I should do about those messages. And usually I just ignore them. I say, you know what? Like, let's just not even get involved. It's probably for the best. You know, we'll just kind of ignore the messages and move on. But what I've realized and the way that I've grown is that I need to show the same love that I have for my neighbor and for God to those same people that have hateful messages towards me. And that's something that my wife and I pray a lot about. And we think about, how can we look at these people, any people who are against us in my faith in Jesus, and show them that I'm not trying to change their mind about some complex issue. What I'm trying to do is show them that the same love and the same joy that's in my heart, I want to show them that they can have that too. Because the truth is, when you love your enemy, you're not trying to change their mind. You're trying to show them that the reason that everyone here, in one way or another, feels blessed, the reason that everyone here, for one way or another, is thankful for the many things that God has put them in their life. You can look at your enemy and say, hey, I just want you to feel thankful for the things that are in your life. I'm not trying to change and reinvent the wheel here. That's God's job, right? My job is to disciple and to guide and to say, hey, I'm very blessed, and I want to show you guys the same feeling that I have. So I just ask, and it's kind of a challenge to everyone here. Everyone here, we're here because you love America, and you want your children, your family, your grandparents, everyone to have a good America. But how can you do that if you're not fulfilled in your heart with what we're meant to do and have a relationship with God? You'll find yourself start swinging and missing, quite frankly, when you have conversations with people who don't agree with you. I just saw here maybe 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago, people arguing about something. I'm not sure what it was. And the bottom line was, I looked at those two people, and one of them's red in the face. They're arguing about something. And I would bet a lot of money that that person had no idea what the other person was saying. They're in such a moment where they're arguing about whatever it may be. And the truth is, we need to first look at ourselves and say, hey, am I actually providing an environment where I could have this conversation with someone? I mean, you look at Jesus' life, and his ability to talk to people. And he went on so many different events and areas in his time and spoke to so many different people because all he wanted was peace and joy and love, which inevitably ends up being the foundation for everything that we believe in. If you have that peace and love and joy, you're going to talk about a safer environment for your children. You're going to talk about a community where people can talk about differences and not argue about them to the point where people are getting hurt, people are getting murdered, right? Nobody wants that. I mean, we look at Charlie, and he was a great example of someone who had a lot to say and a beautiful message about Jesus, and he got murdered. So I ask you all today, not just for your sake, but yes, for everybody's sake, to when you have conversations with people, look at them in a different way. You can be sympathetic. You can be loving, even if you don't agree. And I think that's an important thing my wife and I noticed when we got these hateful messages and we were figuring out what we wanted to say. And we said, you know what? I think what we need to do is we need to respond. And we need to pray for these people because we love them, because we want to show them that in our hearts, we're not trying to cause problems in different people. We're actually trying to find the solution, which is Jesus. And that the peace and the joy he brings into my heart and my wife's heart and my family's heart is something that we want for everybody. And everybody should find that because we're meant to have a relationship with God. And so when I had this opportunity to come here, I thought the most important thing that I wanted to share to people, if I had the chance, which I've been blessed to be able to come up here, is that my love for Jesus is the first foot that I step forward when it comes to my interactions with people. It's not truth. It's not like I'm going to try to tell you what you should and shouldn't believe. I'm saying, listen, I understand where you're at, and we're all at different parts of our life. So it's important for me in my life to try to listen to people and say, hey, this is where you're at. I love you. I don't know you. And I want to guide you so you feel the same peace and joy in my life and your life. And so when I step that first foot forward, that's Jesus. I just hope that people who have conversations with me anywhere, on here, on the baseball field, in life, no matter where I go, that I love them. And I want the very best for them, just that I've had in my life with my beautiful wife and I and my family. And so I just ask you the very same thing, that when you talk to people and you step that foot forward, is it in your heart? Do you have love and understanding and saying, you know what? The very best thing for you is that you have a relationship with God and you feel the same things for me. It's not that you agree with me, because trust me, we're humans. We're going to disagree a lot, all the time. We will, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, when you disagree with someone, you're not disagreeing with them and saying, you know what, we disagree, so I hate you. Which is easy to do. It really is. But when you disagree with someone, you disagree with them and you understand that what they're talking about, they believe in. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, you just want them to feel the love from God, and that manifests in so many different ways. Look at your lives. Look at the ways that God has blessed you in so many different creative ways. That's all unique to each and every one of you. So I ask that you look at people with the same light that God looks at you. And now we're going to do a short Q&A, but thank you guys so very much, and God bless.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you?
Go Cubs.
Let's go. Go Cubs.
By the way, I'm wearing your jersey.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I bought it because I wanted to show you how proud I was of you for going to Charlie's memorial. And I'm glad the Cubs had your back. I'm not happy with the way that Mets announcer called you out. and wasn't reprimanded, but you stood tall. And I just want to know how you've been able to be so courageous with your support for Charlie and the conservative cause when so many people in media and in sports think differently and don't understand your point of view.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for sharing. Obviously, Jesus and my faith has been something that I've always stepped forward in. And I have got a lot of backlash for that in my relationship with Charlie. And you mentioned courageous, and it's something that I very much so believe in, is that it's not me who's doing all these courageous things, right? I'm a sinner. I make so many mistakes. Those are the beliefs that I have. And I believe that God has blessed me with the ability to come out in front of people and just share my testimony and share my faith and share my belief, because he loves me so much that no matter how much hate, no matter how much people might disagree or argue with me or go on TV and say, oh, he's the worst, it doesn't change who I am and what I believe in, and it doesn't change how I'm going to interact with that guy the same that I'd interact with anybody else, because that's what Jesus did and that's what he told me and showed me. And so I just hope for you and your beliefs and what you believe in, that again, even when people say terrible things about me or terrible things about Charlie or terrible things about anybody, you just show them grace and love, because in their heart, yes, they're angry, but you want to get them to a point where they too see the peace and the love that they can have with God and with Jesus.
Thanks, Matt.
Hey, Matt, my name is Bentley Love. I'm from Dallas, Texas. And after I graduate college, I hope to work in sports media one day, so maybe I'll get to interview you. But what kind of advice would you have for me in going into a field where people don't tend to talk about their faith as much, or the fact that they're conservative? How would you kind of suggest that I go about that?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that you can do in media is get to know the people that you're talking to. Right? We have some people that might come in and out here and there, ask questions, and they can kind of manipulate what we say. But your job is to get to know the person. So when you're writing the story, you have everything about who they are, and you can maneuver that into a story. Like, that's what good media is, right? Is taking what they say but understanding who they are and tying those things together to show the bigger public a picture of what they're all about. And I think that's easily misconstrued. So I encourage you, and first of all, God bless you and good luck with everything you're going through. But I do encourage you very much to get to know the people that you're talking to. And even if they don't necessarily talk about what you're talking about, you get to know them and understand where they're at. And you're going to be able to use your beliefs to guide them just as much as you're guiding your stories.
Hello, Mr. Shaw. I wanted to say that your speech was absolutely incredible and reflective of the gospel. And I like how it reflected the love of Christ and how we were supposed to show grace to our enemies. But there's a lot of controversy with how we're supposed to properly apply it. So do you think 1 Corinthians 13 is a more accurate way of showing the love of Christ?
I wish I had a photographic memory of what 1 Corinthians 13 was, but what I can say is that through my experiences with people who might not like me, or and sometimes who might hate me, who would identify themselves as definitely opposition to me, I would say that the most important thing, as you said, is to first show grace, right, and understand where they're at. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is through your experiences and the love that you felt in your life, can you show them that same very thing and how it's manifested in their lives?
All right. Yeah. What's up, Matt? How's it going?
Hey, there you are. Okay.
So let me just say, as a lifelong fan of the back-to-back World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, let me just say that it takes great courage for you to come out and just support Charlie. As a Cubs fan, back home you'd be surprised. There's some Dodger fans that also happen to be MAGA. What would you say to those that say, "Oh, you can't be a Dodger fan and be MAGA and all that crap"? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I would say that the most important thing is that you're a fan of Jesus. And if you can remember that above all else, that you're a fan of Jesus first, then yes, you could be a Dodgers fan as well. I think we're going to do one more question here, guys.
This will be the last question.
Hi, Matt. My name is Camden, and I have a question. How do you share Jesus with your fellow teammates?
That's a great question, Camden. Thank you for sharing and having the courage to get up there. Would you believe that it is not a very easy thing to do always, Camden? There's a lot of people in the locker room who, they're trying to be the best baseball player they can be, right? And that takes a ton of time and energy. And so the best thing that I can do isn't to talk to them and disciple them, but it's to show what my beliefs look like in my life. And sometimes it's not a conversation, but it's simply the light that you shine around to other people. And because of how much love you have for other people and for Jesus, it's going to show them, hey, maybe this is something I'm interested in. Maybe this is something that can provide me fulfillment in my life. And I hope that for everyone, and I hope it for you, Camden. And thank you guys so much for having me. We love all you guys. God bless. Thank you.